Hello, my fellow YouTubers and subscribers, and welcome to my latest movie review, where today I review Dune, or Dune, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it, Part 1. Technically, it's Dune Part 1 because, I didn't realise that until I was watching it. When the title came up, it said Dune Part 1. I was like, oh, okay, well, why didn't they market that? So, yeah, we have a two-film adaptation, directed by Denis Villeneuve, or Villenueve. Again, I can't pronounce anything today, I'm sorry. I'll just call him Denis Villeneuve because that's the only way I know how to say it. So Dune, this is apparently like the second or third remake of this of this story. I think this story has been made into a film before at least one or two times. And the plot, being based on the novel, is as follows. Feature adaptation of Frank Herbert's science fiction novel about the son of a noble family entrusted with the protection of the most valuable asset and most vital element in the galaxy. There we go. That's the basic premise of the story. Anything else I couldn't really explain to you. Dune, well, this is getting really good reviews at the moment, and I try not to sort of go into movies based on reviews. I do try to look at films objectively, subjectively, and I don't like to kind of go in worried or nervous. I go in and I take it how it is. Sometimes it's nice to be with the majority, but sometimes you have to be constructive, and sometimes you can't go with the majority. And I think on this occasion, I'm probably not going to go with the majority here. I did like Dune. I thought Dune was a good film. I thought it was a very solid piece of drama. It was a very impressive movie. Aesthetically, one of the most beautiful films ever made. But I have a couple of issues with it. If you love this movie, if you think it's a masterpiece, kudos to you. But for me, I don't think it's quite up there. I don't think it's quite as good as Blade Runner 2049. And even I didn't give that one a perfect score. For me, the biggest issue I have with the story is that it's a bit complicated. I mean, I must admit, I never read the novel, or I've never seen the other Dune films, so maybe that's partly my fault. But at the same time, I was watching the movie trying to understand what was going on. There's a lot of people in this film. It's a big story, and obviously it must be because they've split it into two parts. But at times, I did struggle to figure out what the hell was going on. It was kind of very politically driven, which is fine. I haven't got a problem with politically driven stories, but it was a bit hard to keep up with this movie, I must admit. Kind of got the basic gist of it and who was doing what to who, which I won't spoil. And each character does have a place in the story, so I'm not saying the movie's incoherent, because it isn't. It makes sense. It's just some of the details, they kind of wash over me. Maybe I need to see the movie again. I mean, on the surface level, about the premise, you would actually think at first, if you didn't know anything about Dune like me, you'd think uh, spice? What? Yeah, the premise of the story is that there's these two sides that are against each other. One side is called the Firmers or something, or the Femmels. I can't remember the exact name. And then there's Paul's family and their side. I don't remember the names. I'm sorry. Basically, because the Firmers, or whatever they're called, they live in the desert. The desert is where the spice is, and obviously the spices it's a vital element to the world that these characters live in. And the Duke, played by Oscar Isaac, only wants to come and take the spice for what they need it for. They don't want to really integrate with the others. They just want to live peacefully and coexist harmoniously. But there's this evil emperor who's played by Stellan Skarsgard, and he wants to basically capture the spice and sort of exploit it for his own profits. And it causes a lot of problems between the two sides. So I mean, that's about as much as I could kind of gauge from it, because there's a lot going on in this movie. There's so many characters doing so many things. It is a struggle to keep up with this movie. I mean, you probably have to pay attention. I will try maybe to see the movie again and see if my thoughts change, but on first viewing I thought it was good. Yeah, very, very good, but some things went over my head. And I do think because of that, the pacing does suffer. I think this movie is quite long. And towards the end, I was getting a bit tired. I was like, we're taking a while to get to the end. I don't think the ending was climactic enough. I mean, we have this big sort of chase sequence in a sort of sandstorm, and then Paul and his mother come across the Firmers, or I'm sorry, I can't pronounce their name, the Firmers, or whatever their names are, and there's a kind of fight sequence that happens. I won't spoil what happens, but that's the climax, and then they sort of join forces, and then they head further into the desert, and that's the end. It feels like, literally does feel like half of a movie. I understand this is meant to be part one of a massive epic film, which is going to be like 5 hours, but presumably the next one will be 2.5 hours. I don't know, it just felt like the ending could have used something a bit more punchy. Like, I was waiting for something big to happen for the ending. I thought the movie was going to end much sooner than it did. And I was waiting for that big moment when the climax would happen, and I was like, oh, I want to know more. But I didn't get that. I just kind of left feeling, well, okay, that's the end. I'll look forward to the next one. Glad it's over. I don't know, I just felt like Denis could have given us a much more powerful ending, and yeah, I kind of felt like the ending fell a bit flat for me, but it was not that it was badly told, but just, again, no impact, and no, I don't really, it didn't leave me intrigued enough to want to see more. I mean, I probably will see the next movie, but the point stands, is that the ending didn't really do anything for me. That being said, the rest of the movie is very impressive. Visually, aesthetically, I cannot fault this movie. It's a masterpiece. I mean, look at it. The visuals are so good. These are probably the best visuals I have seen since the movie Gravity. They are that good. I mean, wow. I mean, you know, we've had some great visual films over the recent years. This movie doesn't use anything like motion capture or anything. It's like all CGI, and then there's sunlight, but the way it's shot, the way it's lit, it is beautiful. I mean, look at it. It is fantastic. You could paint a picture of every frame of this movie, and you know, the attention to detail with that is amazing. I cannot describe how unspeakably good the film looks. And the music, Hans Zimmer's score, it's amazing. The score, I mean, it's quite repetitive in places. When you know, the singers keep going da 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 da, but still it fits for the movie, and it's very dramatic, and it's quite serious. I mean, this isn't necessarily a movie you could watch for fun, I think. And Denis Villeneuve's direction is very, very good. I think he did a really good job. Aside from the ending, I think he did a really, really good job, and he keeps the film compelling, and he keeps the characters all interesting. There's a lot of emotional complexities to the characters, especially with Rebecca Ferguson's character, which I won't say anything. So it's a very polished film. It looks polished, and yeah, you feel every ounce of care and detail that has gone into this movie. And when the action sequences and the spectacle happen, they're there to sort of fill in the void. You know, they don't overshadow the story. They just fit in nicely with what's already there, and it's good. You know, I don't think Denis Villeneuve is the best action director, but I think the spectacle he does have is very impressive for what it is. You certainly feel that there's an epic scale to this movie, that's for sure. As for the cast, I'm not going to sort of go into each of them, otherwise we'll be here all day, but I'll go over a couple of the main ones. We've got Timothee Chalamet as Paul. He's good. Yeah, I think he gives a decent performance. He's a good lead, and he keeps having these kind of visions of Zendaya's character, and also, you know, premonitions about his future and about the journey he's going to go on. I'm not quite sure why. Actually, no, I do know why. Yeah, and it was a very interesting reason as to why that's all happening. And there's a scene at the beginning where he goes to see a, I don't think she's a soothsayer. She's like a Mother Superior nun type character. He puts his hand inside a box, and she gets to sort of see his powers and the fact that his mother has kind of taught him what to do with all that. Again, I can't say too much more, but that was really compelling. Rebecca Ferguson is also good. She gets quite a lot to do. I was surprised she was in it that much as Lady Jessica, who's Paul's mother, and they have an interesting relationship. There's a bit of friction. It's not all, you know, you're my son, I love you. You know, there's a lot more tension actually, but it's a bit like that with his dad, who played by Oscar Isaac. He actually really loves his dad and gets on with him quite well. Oscar Isaac as Duke Leto Atreides, he's very good. He doesn't have a huge role, but he is very good for what he has. Zendaya, who's very briefly in the movie, she's mainly in those kind of vision sequences where they make her look completely beautiful, and like Paul's kind of sort of in like very romantic sequences where he's kind of seeing her. There's even a vision that he has where they kiss. And, you know, we've seen all this in the trailer, really, so there's not much I can spoil. But she does appear very briefly in the movie, and it's very brief. And when he does meet her, it's obviously a very interesting moment. Like, he's about to sort of say, oh, I've seen you before, but he chooses not to do that. Jason Momoa as Duncan, he's very good. Interesting that we see Jason Momoa without his beard in this movie. It was really, really strange. Stellan Skarsgard as the Emperor character. listed as Baron Vladimir Harkonnen. We'll just call him the Emperor. I mean, he's really good. Like, I love the design of the character, the way he's massively overweight, and he's kind of, you know, bathing in his own sort of black goo, and he's eating like a pig. He's a proper nasty arsehole. And the voice, he's very scary. There's a real scary presence to him. Brolin is also very good in his role. Javier Bardem is Stilgar. He's the leader of the Thermers. He's very good. Dave Bautista appears in this movie as Beast Rabban Harkonnen. He's one of the Emperor's... I don't know if he's the Emperor's child or if he's just someone who works for the Emperor. But yeah, he's got a very small part, but he's good. The cast are all very good. I mean, there's a massive cast in this movie, and they do a really good job. And I think Denis Villenueve does a very good job at directing his actors. And I think that the project... I mean, you can clearly see the story. It holds together really well. I mean, it's a very dramatic piece of storytelling. It's a very impressive movie on a number of levels. But I just don't think it's perfect, so please don't kill me. But I am going to give Dune 2021 an 8 out of 10. I know some of you are going to be like, oh, that's too low. Well, I'm sorry, it's just my opinion. And again, I haven't seen any of the other Dune movies, and I haven't read the book, so maybe I'll do that as well to compare. And of course, Dune Part 2 will probably be coming out, well, maybe not next year, but maybe the year after that. I don't even think they've started working on it due to the pandemic. I mean, this movie was delayed quite some time anyway. So yeah, that's my review of Dune. What do you think of this movie? Please comment down below, let me know. Please hit that subscribe button for more reviews. And until next time, I'm Mr. Tarlis11. Thank you for watching. See ya. Bye for now.